If it starts to strip out on you, here's what you do, boys. You cut you a nice groove all the way across the stripped out screw. Use your cutter. And then you get you the biggest screwdriver you got. And if that still ain't enough, put a wrench on the end of that bad boy. So basically you're pushing down and you're using this guy as leverage, and you can fit that big blade screwdriver across this guy. And dagnabbit, didn't that get him loose for me? This is obviously a last resort because it does frig up your screw, but I already had tried heating it and putting penetrant oil on it, but when something's a Phillips head like that, it just ain't coming out. So instead of doing the easy out and dicking around, you just cut you a slot in it and whip her on out. Pro tips by Benny Boy. I did not invent that, but just letting you know. All right, homeboys. You might be thinking this is going to be like, oh yeah, it's great. Front end came right off. That was not the case, buddy boys. It is off, but one little air conditioner line got me. And you might be telling yourself, who gives a crap? This is your winter car. But everyone that knows anything about anything will tell you, you need your air conditioner for your defroster to work well because it takes the moisture out of the air. So I want to keep it. But sure as shit, this little bugger right here, this little guy going to the condenser, I guess it would help if I panned onto him. This little bugger right here lands on my AC condenser on the front radiator assembly. And this screw that is freshly chopped off was the guy that kind of holds them on, and then he just makes an O-ring seal in here. I tried like the dickens to get him off with some wrenches and different stuff, rounded it right off to the point of where I had to do it, boys. I had to cut the head of the bolt off, but I did it such that I didn't really damage this. And now I can put some vice grips on him that he's out of the car and extract that bolt. So we're good. We saved the day. But instead of this having a nice, gentle set down, she just came flying off. So that sucks. But I don't think it hurt anything. And look at how much room there is now. This will literally, I mean, the engine basically just wants to jump out at this point. So we're styling, man. We're gonna get some harnesses out of the way. I'm gonna take off like this airbox holder and a couple other little things just to really clear out kind of the front of the bay, but we're coming good, so that's how it goes. And I'm happy I didn't just totally hack it off, because I have a tendency with that cutting wheel, if I get frustrated, boy, she just comes right off. But it is what it is. We got it off and we did not destroy it, so obviously we didn't let the Freon into the air. That wouldn't be good for the environment, right? So we had that properly evacuated by a service professional. All right, cool. Moving on. Before we go any further, let's take a minute to look at these headers. These are so nice. So this is like the shorty header part that goes to here, and then you got your crazy pipe that goes around and collects with the other side. But like, I'm seeing some nice welds in there, and they're not too rusty or anything. So I'm not sure what brand these are. If there's anyone watching this that has one of these cars, please feel free to let me know. Or the original owner of this car, please feel free to let me know. Besides that that oily ass oil filter. Yeah, these are some nice headers. So I'm pretty sure the ones I saw, it was MSDS or something like that. We're up at like $800. So I'm not sure if that's these or not, but that's pretty solid. I'm looking over here. Definitely had a weeping valve cover, getting oil all down on the water pump. This is the only car I've ever seen that drives the water pump on the transmission side of the engine. If I could talk. And look at that. There's a little thermostat in there. See all kinds of cool little things now that we got the front end of the car off. So yeah, we're going to keep trucking. We're doing good. Just wanted to take a minute to show you these sexy headers with a nice wrap on them. All right, peace. All right, the day started off early on the right foot, getting this axle nut loose on the passenger side. If you know anything about cars and driving in salt, the driver's side's always rustier because all the salt builds up in the middle. So I was worried about the driver's side, but guess what, boys? That came right off as well. Little torch, little best tool ever. Thanks, Daddy boy. And that came right off. That's a testament to how clean this car is. Trust me on this. This isn't like a California car. We're living there, right? Where shit just comes off easily. The fact that we got those nuts off, the axles, is like amazing. Like that's always the shittiest part of any pulling of any axles or a lot of like big projects like this. That's the part I dread the most, is getting those things out. So hopefully once I loosen the suspension so I can hinge and pull the shafts out of the CV shafts out of the transmission, hopefully that's not too hard. But you know what? For only working on this for like a day and a half, 2 days here, I guess, just after work and stuff, I've got me a pretty big pile of stuff off the car, and this engine is probably ready to come out in about one more night's worth of work. I'm gonna take a break right now. When I was under there wrenching, I strained a little hard, and I felt my friggin' wisdom teeth start to get funky. So I swear I felt like a blood vessel, like in my gum, like pop or some shit. That was scary. But I ain't trying to get a dry socket from wrenching too hard, of all things. It's been a week today since I got my wisdom teeth out, and they still friggin' smack. But we're getting there. I'm gonna take a couple still pictures for progress here instead of just videos, and we're gonna call it a night. Peace. Okay, just like in life, boys and girls, you should always pick your battles, okay? If some shit ain't working out, stop doing it. So see this guy here? This end-link dealio going down to the sway bar? This guy was fighting me something fierce. So right in the instructions over here, it says loosen whichever one you can loosen. It only has to be decoupled from the strut. So instead I switched up top. And basically you gotta have a 5mm Allen wrench to hold this guy still or from twisting, and then you gotta spin this guy off with a wrench. But look at this little PB blaster on there. Took the time just to move the brake cable out of the way, the brake line, and it came right off, no problem. Pick your battles. All right. Yeah. All right, update. We just about got the CV shaft out. Got it loosened up here. Kind of wrestling it out. I've never seen suspension like this with this weird ass fork. We'll have to see if I still take that out or not. Over here though, we got Philip. Hey. Got my boy over here, and he's working on taking out the headliner that's drooping like my nuts there.
Without breaking stuff.
Yeah. Phil's attention to detail is
slowly going down.
Like none other. The battery's out, so we're not going to set an airbag off. But we're getting her done. We're going to finish getting suspension apart. Today, we're going to put the wheels on. And we are going to, you know what? We're even going to get this engine out today, boys and girls. Ain't scared. So, that's the plan. I'm going to finish getting the CV shaft out so I can put the suspension back together and put the wheel on. This weird wishbone situation here makes it harder to get it out. Honestly, whenever you're doing this type of stuff, you should really plan ahead and have the car so that way you can just pull the engine where it is. But I'm kind of out of space in my garage, and I wanted to get all this work done undercover because it's been raining for the last week. But that's minor details. We'll slap the suspension back together. Shouldn't be a problem. That'll be good practice for tearing it all apart and back together. Put my Evo 10 wheels on it, move the speed, roll it out, and I'll tell you what else, boys and girls, the motor is supposed to come today. Update, friends. Here we are where the Mazda 6 used to be, and that should tell you that I was able to get the CV shafts out. The passenger side one fought me a little bit. So check this out. Being a transverse mounted engine, this guy's go all the way over to the transmission. Yes, I changed Crocs. You know, I got a piece of metal in my other Crocs, but it's all good. Safety first. But anyways, I couldn't get it to split here, so I ended up just taking the whole thing out. It was much easier, and then the driver's side came right out. I can't stress enough how many times I've fought CV axles, CV shafts, and not been able to get them out without cutting them. So that's sick. I slapped the suspension back together, threw down some kitty litter. I hope Sadie doesn't mind. My new cat, that is, that's gonna live with me, with my amazing girlfriend. And look at what we have here. I think cars always look so cool like this. So we moved it outside, put the Evo 10 wheels on it. He's not gonna get the Evo 10 wheels, although it does look really good. Those belong to the Speed 3. Instead, it's gonna get the winter wheels and tires on here, which will also look great. But check this beast out. I slapped the hood on it because I just put a good rinse on it. This thing is so clean. So now we got this out far enough where I can get my engine crane out on this nice flatter spot here. And I'm just gonna haul this way up in here, put a couple blocks under it to keep it safe, keep it up. And then we're gonna pull that engine out. I think, you know, it's like unseasonably nice out right now for October, so we're just gonna run with that, take advantage of it. But yeah, next update, she'll be up on jack stands and we'll be starting to peel her out. So very productive morning for sure on this fine Saturday. All right, update. Got a lot done. Got the hoist hooked up. Got our chains kind of on there. There's no real good lifting tabs on this motor, so I went around like the motor mount. It's a little sketchy, but run out of daylight, boys, so I just been cooking, and I'm literally cooking inside too. So we got the left side motor mount out. We're gonna take this one out and we're gonna holler on out and see what we hopefully don't rip out of this thing. Threw a plastic bag on the fuse box. Got my little snack right there. It's been holding me over. So the next update, boys and girls, will probably be a snag we come across. Like, for example, this wire right here that I think needs to stay with the car. Damn it. That needs to be on the other side of the chain. All right, we'll be back. All right, the moon's out. We're running out of daylight. We get the whole thing hauled up by my trusty crane. So guess what we're gonna do when we run out of daylight and it's gonna rain, boys? We're gonna push her back in the garage because the show must go on. We only got limited time to work on this bad boy. We ain't about to let the nighttime ruin that on us, are we? No, sir. All right, you boys would not believe what I just did to get this car back in the garage. I had to push this old bad boy by myself, and then I couldn't stop it from rolling back, and literally my hose was nearby, and that was just enough under the tire to stop the car from rolling back when I ran up and grabbed the e-brake. Like, I exercised more today than I have in a month, but as you can see, the motor's kind of dangling in there because this mount's disconnected. But if any boy's starving, this is undercover. We're gonna eat and then we're gonna come back when we're fresh. All right, boys, getting her done. No excuses. Top of the morning to ya. So, unfortunately, we were not able to get the motor pulled last night, boys and girls. Weather was against us, and it got dark, but the main reason was a 15mm wrench. Believe it or not, I know for a fact I've had multiples of these. I could not for the life of me find my 15mm. And these are for the left side motor mount, and it's the only way to get to it. I tried swivels, I tried all kinds of stuff. So because of that, and because I needed to work on pulling a Miata head to make some money, I had to call it quits. So here we are, next day. Got us a nice breakfast burrito from Steeple Market. Literally one of the best stores ever. The guy that cooks there makes amazing food, tacos and everything else. Got me a little iced coffee. And you might be asking yourself, Benny boy, why is there a crock under your car? Oh, funny you should ask. I'll tell you why. Because I didn't want to leave my garage door open last night, and when it was raining and it skunks and whatnot. So didn't I push this heap into the garage by myself? Still feeling that a little bit this morning. But then I didn't have anything to chalk the wheels. So I literally, because the car, I have a slight incline, the car wanted to roll out. So I literally had to kick my crock off and stick it under the tire when I ran up and grabbed the e-brake. All right, that's dedication, boys. Those are nice Crocs, but you know they'll snap right back. Here's the other one for reference. So anyways, today's the day, boys. I'm feeling it. We're gonna roll the car out halfway, get it so we can get that motor mount out, and we are gonna pull that bad boy, clean the garage up, and get it ready for my missus. All right. And remember, like Grandpa John always said, an hour in the morning is worth two at night. So I have a feeling that we're going to have this bad boy out by lunchtime, all right? Nope, there's no sense staying up all night if you're not making any progress. So that is that. All right, this is always one of the most exciting parts. Pulling the engine out, boys. When you think you finally got everything disconnected, you can see here, we're starting to bring it out. This is when you want to really search everything over, because I guarantee you forgot a plug or a hose or a line somewhere. You can't ever be forgetting hose, am I right? Hoses. I think right now I'm caught up on the sketchy headers that go down over the subframe. But yeah, she's kind of pulling out. Of course, it's dripping out again, but I'm sure Sadie and Alexis won't mind if I borrow some cat litter to clear that up or dry it up. So this is just, we're gonna kind of go real slow and work it out. I don't love the angle I have on it, so I might tweak my little load balancer thing there. These are clutch from Harbor Freight, where basically you can move it along this axis here, and then you can hook your chains up to it. This car doesn't really have any good lifting tabs, so I had to get a little sketchy and kind of land down on a motor mount bolt down there, and then around the other motor mount here. But the only thing that's maybe cooler, well, definitely cooler than pulling an old engine out, is putting your new engine back in. That is what's up. But this is always exciting. We're gonna continue masking things off in the engine bay once we get this out, and I think almost all these wires go with the engine. They did a really good job of kind of modularizing it. So basically, these two huge plugs disconnect like the whole loom on the engine, and it stays with it. So basically, I think I'm going to spend more time than I took to pull the entire engine out of this car. I think it'll take me even longer to switch all the bits and wires and sensors over to the new replacement engine. But that'll be a whole nother part of this series. But for right now, we're gonna get this out so we can mask off the bay and pressure wash it and clean that up real good. So making some good moves this rainy morning. All right. All right. So remember when you're a kid and you're losing your baby teeth, and right, they're just barely holding on by the gums, right? You could just see it flapping in the wind. There's this girl I knew growing up where she refused to take her teeth out because she was scared of it or whatever, scared to wiggle them. That's kind of how this engine is right now, where it just wants to come out, but it's just tormenting me about it. You know what I mean? It's just there like a little tooth flapping. Anyways, what turned out to be the big hang up was, although I took the bolt out of the rear motor mount right here that just keeps the motor from twisting, it had just been in there for so long or whatever, it was just kind of stuck. So I had to, even though the engine was decoupled from it, it was still stuck in that mount. So I had to go and take out another bolt and disconnect both sides of it. So the whole mount, even though it's not bolted, is coming out with the engine. So that was it. And now you can see these crazy headers in like this weird downpipe with the two flexes that goes into this weird 3-bolt flange. That's why this exhaust is strange. And I'm telling you right now, there's no way he put these headers on, the previous owner. There's no way he put these aftermarket headers on with the engine in the car. I just don't think it's possible. So, next clip, boys, it'll be out of the car. We're killing it. I'm gonna put the hood back on so we can roll it out. Clean the garage up nice for the missus, and boy, Benny Boy's doing good this morning. All right. All right, motor's out. Hood's on. I got a bag over the fuse box. She's ready to go out in the elements, boys, while we work on this engine. And I'm about to do what's called the Robert Hook push. He does this with his MGB, and it almost hits Mom's greenhouse every time he does it. He goes and he just pushes the car out in neutral and hopes it stops before it hits her greenhouse. So in this case, we got about 150-foot driveway. Speed 3's out of the way. We're just gonna put the boot to her. Bye, Felicia. It's been real. Oh, she's still going. Excuse me. Oh, still moving. Hey, if it lands in the neighbor's yard, it's someone else's problem, right? All right, I better grab it before it hits the basketball hoop. Peace. She doesn't weigh anything when that motor's out. All right. Doing this all for you, Speed 3. This is for you, Becky. Come on.